Welcome to the Dreamy Physicist, a place where science whispers you to sleep. Here, we journey through the mysteries of the mind, unraveling why we dream and how the night shapes our thoughts. So close your eyes, slow your breathing, and let's drift together into the quiet cosmos within. The day exhales, light softens, shadows stretch and melt into one another. Your body feels it first, the weight behind your eyes, the slow loosening of your hands, the way your breath begins to sink deeper without you telling it to. You are standing at the edge of something, not a wall, not a cliff, not even a door you can touch. It is a threshold made of feeling, the quiet passage between waking and sleep. It has no lock, no handle. It simply invites you forward, and you cross it without even noticing. Inside your mind, a change begins. All day long, your brain has fired in quick, sharp patterns, beta waves, racing like a city at rush hour, thoughts moving fast, decisions stacked high, noise, light, motion, all woven together. But now, those bright patterns fade. In their place, slower rhythms rise, alpha waves, smooth, steady, like ripples on a quiet lake. They do not push you forward. They let you drift. Your heart hears them. It slows. Your muscles listen. They release. Even your core temperature begins to fall. A signal passed down through millions of nights. Every living thing knows it. The fox in her den, the whale beneath the surface, the bird tucking its head beneath a wing, each one stepping through their own quiet doorway. You feel yourself begin to loosen from the day. Your grip on its weight grows softer, thoughts blur at the edges. A memory of a place you once stood, a face you can almost recall, color without a name. These are not dreams yet. They are the flickers of the hypnagogic state, the borderland between waking and sleep. Science can measure it. Your brain shifts chemicals like a careful painter, choosing new colors. Adenosine builds in your system, pressing gently on your awareness. Serotonin smooths the currents of your thoughts. GABA comes the electrical chatter between your neurons. The noise dims. The stage grows quiet. Sometimes your body will jolt, a sudden twitch, a drop, a sharp breath, the hypnic jerk, a reflex from an older, more dangerous time when falling asleep in the open could mean falling from a branch or missing the rustle of a predator. Your brain checks. Are you safe? It finds no threat. It lets you drift further. The senses begin to close their doors. Sight rests first. Taste and smell follow. Touch becomes just the weight of your body against the bed. Only hearing stays awake a little longer. The last watchkeeper standing guard. Your breath finds its rhythm. Your heartbeat keeps slow time. The temperature of your body dips again. And now the theta waves arrive. Slower, deeper, pulling you further in. You are in the first stage of sleep. But it is fragile. A sudden sound could still lift you back to waking. If the world stays quiet, you will sink further. This doorway is not just a path inward, it is an opening to something vast. Your brain will soon begin its great night work. It will cycle through stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and the wild country of dreams. It will rise and fall again and again until morning. This rhythm is the architecture of sleep. But here, you are still crossing the first threshold, still stepping slowly away from the gravity of the day, still learning to float. Your nervous system takes its cue. The parasympathetic branch becomes the quiet conductor of this slowing orchestra. Blood pressure drops. Digestion becomes unhurried. Your immune system sends out its subtle repairs. Tiny cells patrol, seek, and mend. It feels like rest, but it is work, the kind of work that keeps you alive. Somewhere deep in your brain, in the thalamus, gates begin to close. The steady stream of information from the world is reduced to a trickle. You are no longer fully anchored to the present moment. Memories from the day begin to file themselves away, not yet processed, but set aside, ready for the night to sort. It is here, in this narrow, quiet passage, that you may feel the first stirrings of dream fragments, a flash of color, a shape without form, a voice that speaks no words. Your mind is testing the waters of the inner world. Every creature that sleeps passes through this same corridor. The wolf in winter snow, the child in a small room, the astronaut drifting in orbit, eyes closed, tethered to a spacecraft, and to this same ancient sequence. It is the universal bridge between here and there. Sometimes you may find yourself resisting. A thought catches you, pulls you back to waking. A list, a worry, a memory you can't let go of. But the body is patient. The chemistry will wait. And again, it will guide you forward. Imagine now the ground beneath you softening. Gravity still holds you, but less tightly. The air feels denser, more forgiving. Sound grows rounder. Time stretches. You are neither fully here nor fully gone. You are on the bridge. Ahead lies the true machinery of sleep, a structure built from cycles, patterns, and depths. The architecture that shapes every dream, every repair, every renewal. Your body and mind will know tonight. But first, you stand in the doorway, still, breathing, listening. The night waits for you to step in. The doorway closes behind you, not with a sound, not with a click. It simply fades, like mist behind your back. Ahead, the night opens into a vast, layered space. You are inside the architecture of sleep. It is not made of stone, not wood, not glass. It is built from rhythm, from cycles, from waves of electricity and tides of chemistry flowing through the mind and body. Sleep is not a single thing. It is a journey with repeating landscapes. You will pass through light, sleep, deep sleep, and the vivid country of dreams, again and again and again. Each cycle will take about 90 minutes. And tonight, you will cross these paths 4, 5, maybe 6 times. The first stage is gentle. You already know its edge. You stood there in chapter 1. Your muscles relax. Your breathing slows. Your heartbeat is steady. The brain hums with theta waves. Slow, dreamlike, but still shallow enough for you to wake if called by name. This stage is the front porch of sleep. You don't stay long. Next, you drift deeper into stage 2. Here, the real night work begins. Your body temperature falls further. Your heart and breath become almost metronomic. Your brain sends out sudden bursts called sleep spindles, tight clusters of activity, as if your mind is stitching a quilt over the senses, blocking out the outside world. Between these spindles are K complexes, single, giant waves that act like guards at the gate, responding to any strange noise to decide whether to wake you or keep you asleep. Half your night will be spent here in stage 2. It is the hallway between waking and the deep chambers beyond. And now you reach stage 3. This is deep sleep, the true stillness. Your brain moves in delta waves, the slowest, largest rhythms it knows. Here, you are hard to wake. If someone calls your name, you may not answer. If you are pulled from this depth, you will rise groggy, as if from underwater. In stage 3, your body turns to its repairs. Cells rebuild, muscles heal, bones strengthen. The immune system learns and remembers like a quiet librarian, adding new pages to your book of defenses. Growth hormone flows into your blood, restoring the small damages of the day. Your heart takes its lightest load, resting as it rarely does in waking hours. This is also the place where some of the night's strangest events happen. Sleepwalking, night terrors, speaking aloud without knowing. These are not dreams. They belong to a deep, non-dreaming realm where the body can move while the mind is still far below. After a time, the tides shift. You begin to rise again, back through stage 2. And then, without warning, you step into REM sleep, rapid movement. Your body is still, almost paralyzed, but your eyes dart beneath their lids, as if watching a silent, invisible play. Your brain, so quiet in deep sleep, is now alight again, active almost as in waking. This is the land of dreams. Here, your mind stitches together memories, emotions, and fragments of thought, turning them into visions. Some are stories you can follow. Some are wild mosaics without logic or order. Science believes this is where your brain processes the day, solves puzzles, soothes emotions, files away the important, and lets go of the rest. REM sleep is also important for the body. It tunes the nervous system. It strengthens connections between neurons, helping you learn and remember. It may even keep the balance of your mood. A night without enough REM can leave you fogged, irritable, less steady inside. Once REM ends, the cycle begins again. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3, then back to REM. Each time you return, the balance changes. In the first half of the night, deep sleep dominates. In the second half, REM grows longer, more dreams, more night theater before dawn. If you could watch yourself from above, your sleep would look like a slow wave rising and falling over and over until morning light touches your face. This architecture is ancient. It has shaped itself through millions of years of evolution. It is the same for a hunter sleeping by a fire 10,000 years ago, for a sailor in the belly of a wooden ship, for you now, breathing in the quiet of your room. And though science can name each stage, track each wave, measure each burst of activity, there is still mystery here. Why these exact cycles? Why does the mind need both the still darkness of deep sleep and the bright chaos of REM? Why not one or the other alone? Perhaps the answer is balance. The body and brain are not machines that can be turned off. They are gardens that need time, both for root, deep repair, and for wild, creative bloom. Now, you are somewhere in the middle of your first cycle tonight. Your body has begun its healing. Your mind is making its first forays into dream country. You will not notice the shifts between stages. You will only know that the night feels like an unbroken drift. But inside, the architecture is hard at work, lifting you, lowering you, washing the mind in slow tides. And as this first cycle nears its end, you will rise again toward REM, toward brighter dreams, toward the strange shapes your mind will paint in the hours to come. And beyond those dreams, we will find another mystery, not of cycles, but of landscapes, not the structure of sleep, but the places it can take you, the inner worlds that wait when the dreaming begins. You are rising again. From the heavy stillness of deep sleep, your mind drifts upward, as if the ocean floor is falling away beneath you. You do not wake. Instead, you step quietly into another country, kingdom that exists only at night. Here, your muscles are still, locked in place by the brainstem's quiet command. But inside your skull, the scene is alive. Your brain hums with almost waking energy. Electrical storms flash through the cortex. Your eyes, hidden beneath closed lids, dart and flicker as if tracking something only you can see. This is REM sleep, rapid eye movement, a stage that is more like a dream theater than a resting place. It lasts only minutes at first, but with each return through the cycles of the night, its reign grows longer. By the time dawn approaches, you may spend nearly an hour in this strange, bright darkness. REM is the home of most vivid dreams. Your brain weaves stories here, mixing truth and invention into a tapestry without rules. It pulls from memory, from fear, from hope, from fragments of the day that you barely noticed while awake. And somehow, it folds them together into a world you believe in completely until the moment you wake. In this kingdom, time is elastic. A dream that feels like an hour may last only seconds, or a brief flicker of REM may hold an entire lifetime of imagined events. The science behind this place is as strange as the dreams themselves. During REM, the brain's visual centers are active, painting scenes in perfect color and detail. The limbic system, where emotion is born, is also alive with fire, making your dreams vivid with joy, fear, wonder, or grief. But the prefrontal cortex, the seat of logic and judgment, rests, which is why you can fly over cities, speak to long-lost friends, or breathe underwater and never doubt it. Meanwhile, your body is kept almost completely still. A built-in safety lock, called REM atonia, switches off your major muscles, so you do not act out your dreams. Only your eyes and the tiny muscles of breathing remain free. But inside this stillness, important work is happening. REM is a kind of overnight therapy. Studies show it helps regulate mood, process strong feelings, and soften the edges of painful memories. It is as if the brain takes the sharp, jagged pieces of the day, wraps them in dream tissue, and files them away so they do not cut as deeply. REM is also a workshop for learning. When you practice a skill, a melody on the piano, a phrase in a new language, a movement in sport, your brain replays it here. The neural pathways strengthen, as if the dream itself is engraving the memory deeper. Even newborns spend much of their sleep in REM. Some scientists believe this early flood of dream time helps shape the wiring of the developing brain, like a sculptor chiseling the first curves and lines. But the REM kingdom is not always gentle. Nightmares are born here too. They are dreams where fear takes the lead and the brain rehearses danger in vivid detail. Some researchers think this rehearsal has evolutionary roots, a way to prepare the mind for threats, even in sleep. And yet, even the darkest dreams are part of the kingdom's purpose. Your brain does not waste the stage time of REM. Every flicker of imagery, every odd turn of story is part of the deep processing that keeps you balanced when morning comes. There are mysteries still unsolved. Why do some people remember their dreams in detail, while others recall nothing? Why do certain images return again and again? A house from childhood, a familiar street, a face you cannot place? Why does the brain choose these and not others? Science can measure the waves, the eye movements, the blood flow, but it cannot yet decode the language of dreams. If you could see a brain in REM on a scanner, it would glow in strange constellations, pockets of light in the visual cortex, the hippocampus, the amygdala. It would look almost like a night sky of thought, alive with shooting stars. Here, inside the REM kingdom, your sense of self can loosen. You may dream you are younger or older or someone else entirely. You may slip into the point of view of another creature, a bird, a fish, a shadow in the rain. The mind is not bound to one identity here. It wanders freely, And there is a curious fact. When you dream, your brain releases no signals that can distinguish whether the events are real or imagined. The same emotional responses, the same sensory activity can appear as if you were awake. Your mind lives the dream as though it were truth. This is why, sometimes, a dream lingers. Its feelings bleed into the morning. You may wake smiling for no reason you can name, or heavy with sadness for a loss that only happened in sleep. In the REM kingdom, reality is flexible. Cause and effect do not follow the rules, but meaning can be found in the way your mind chooses its symbols. Sometimes you recognize them instantly. Other times they remain a mystery, slipping away as quickly as you open your eyes. And so, you drift here tonight through bright, shifting scenes, some comforting, some strange. Your body is still. Your breath is steady. The REM kingdom is doing its quiet work, sorting, shaping, healing, imagining. Before the night is over, you will visit this place again and again, each time for longer, and each visit will leave its own faint trace in the web of your mind. As the current pulls you toward the next cycle, you begin to sink once more into deeper waters, back toward the slow, restorative quiet of deep sleep. But somewhere, the kingdom waits, ready for your return, holding the next dream, just out of sight. And as you slip downward, a question begins to take shape, not just about dreams, but about the strange mind that makes them. How does the brain, this fragile organ, carry both the sharp light of waking thought and the soft glow of dream? That question will wait for you in the next chapter. It begins quietly, no trumpet call, no conductor's baton slicing the air, only a slow rising hum in the dark corridors of your mind. Your body lies still, but inside there is music, not the kind you hear with your ears, but the kind your cells know, a rhythm older than memory. Each night, as you drift into sleep, your brain gathers its players. The pit fills with strange instruments, neurotransmitters, hormones, electrical pulses, waves of blood and breath. The thalamus takes the first seat. It is the gatekeeper, the stage manager, deciding which signals are allowed through to consciousness and which must stay behind the curtain. The cerebral cortex readies itself, layers of gray matter, waiting for their part in the score, sometimes still and silent, sometimes bright with activity, depending on the act. In another shadow corner, the pineal gland, no bigger than a grain of rice, holds a vial of melatonin, ready to release it into the bloodstream. This is not sound, but a slow chemical chord that deepens the night's music. And then there is the brainstem, steady, ancient, the percussion section. It keeps the pulse, heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, always in time, never missing a beat. The first movement is non-REM sleep. Slow waves roll across the cortex, like long notes on a cello. Your muscles relax. Your heartbeat slows. The orchestra plays softly, as if tuning itself. You pass through light sleep, the violins of theta waves, gentle and swaying before sinking into the double bass tones of deep, slow wave sleep. In this phase, growth hormone is released. Your cells repair. Your immune system rearms itself. It is the work song of the body, unheard but vital. Then, without warning, a shift. The tempo changes. The REM movement begins. The brain's electrical activity surges, as if the brass and woodwinds have entered together. Your eyes dart beneath their lids. A frantic violin solo. Emotion centers flare like sudden cymbal strikes. Images bloom, fade, and bloom again. No single section plays alone. In REM, the whole orchestra moves at once. Signals fly between the amygdala, where fear and joy live, and the hippocampus, which shapes memory. The visual cortex paints scenes in glowing pigments. The motor cortex lights up too, though the brainstem mutes your body's movements, as if placing a damper on the strings. Science calls it synchrony, the moment when separate parts work as one. In waking life, this might be conversation, or dance, or a symphony hall in full performance. But at night, inside your skull, it is a private concert played just for you. Even in deep sleep, some musicians never rest. Tiny networks in the brainstem keep watch for danger, a loud sound, a sudden touch, a change in air. If they detect a threat, the music stops instantly. You wake. But most nights, the orchestra plays undisturbed. Your breathing swells and falls like a tide against the shore. Your heartbeat keeps time, steady as a drum. The violins of memory play their delicate notes. The horns of emotion rise and fall in the background. There are solos here too, moments when one instrument takes the lead. A flash of dream imagery, that's the visual cortex stepping forward. A sudden spike of fear in a nightmare, the amygdala's brass section cutting through. A strange connection between two memories, that's the hippocampus finding harmony between old notes. And then, in the spaces between these sounds, the glymphatic system joins in. It is not music you can hear, but a silent cleaning rain. Channels open, and cerebrospinal fluid washes through the brain, carrying away waste proteins that build up during the day. It is a night janitor sweeping the stage between each act so the next performance can be clear and bright. Some scientists believe this orchestration is guided by a deeper clock, the suprachiasmatic nucleus, a cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus. It reads light and dark, day and night, and decides when the music should begin. Without it, the timing falls apart. The instruments come in too early or too late. The body grows confused. You may not notice the orchestra as you lie here, but your body feels it. The steady shaping of hormones, the rise and fall of temperature, the gentle rocking between alertness and rest. And in a way, you are the audience and the composer. Your choices by day, your movement, your light exposure, your meals, all set the score for the night. If the day is too bright with stress, The night orchestra plays in a minor key. If the day allows space to breathe, its music is warm, layered, rich. Some nights, the performance is smooth, a perfect cycle through non-REM and REM, each section in its place. Other nights, it is fragmented, pauses, false starts, movements repeated or skipped. But even in its imperfection, the music does its work. It keeps the body in tune, the mind balanced, the emotions tempered. By morning, the final movement swells. Light filters through your eyelids. The suprachiasmatic nucleus signals the pineal gland to fade the melatonin. The orchestra slows. The notes thin. And then, silence. You wake, still carrying the echo of the night's song, though you may not hear it. It moves in you, like a heartbeat, quiet but constant. Tonight, you will return to it. The pit will fill. The players will take their places. And somewhere, in the dark, the music will begin again. But music is only part of the story. Even the finest orchestra must follow a score. Where does that score come from? How does the body know when to begin, when to rest, when to dream? That answer waits in the next chapter, hidden in the delicate machinery of the body's internal clock. It begins in darkness, not the emptiness of nothing, but the fertile dark of a hidden garden. Your brain is the gardener. You are the soil. The seeds are your memories. All day long, you have gathered them. Some are bright and heavy, conversations, faces, tasks checked off a list. Others are small, the scent of coffee, the feel of wind on your neck, the pattern of light through a window. While you are awake, these seeds are scattered everywhere. Some land on rich ground. Some fall between cracks. Some remain loose, waiting for a place to take root. When night comes, the gates of the garden close. The gardener, your sleeping brain, moves through the rows with quiet, deliberate steps. Science calls this process memory consolidation. It is the brain's way of deciding which seeds to plant deep, which to water, and which to let go. In non-REM sleep, the gardener works in slow, sweeping motions. Hippocampus and neocortex pass notes back and forth, like hands moving seedlings from one bed to another. The hippocampus, that curved, seahorse-shaped keeper of the day's events, whispers each moment to the neocortex, where it will be stored for the long term. Slow brain waves, delta waves, flow like a gentle irrigation system, carrying the details from short-term to long-term beds. It is not rushed. It cannot be rushed. Facts and skills, patterns and words are carefully laid in place. It's as if the brain is labeling jars in a dark pantry, stacking them neatly so you can find them in years to come. Then comes REM sleep, and the gardener changes tools. Now, instead of planting in straight rows, they wander. Seeds are moved. Different plants are placed side by side that would never grow together in the waking world. This is when creativity blooms. The gardener lets vines cross, roots tangle, flowers from one row drop pollen into another. A childhood memory meets a recent conversation, a fact from school brushes, against an emotion you felt yesterday. Dreams are the blossoms of this midnight garden, colorful, strange, sometimes fragrant, sometimes wild. They are not always meant to last. Some bloom only once, dropping their petals by morning. Others drop seeds that will grow new thoughts in the days ahead. Your emotional memories are tended with special care. The amygdala, the almond-shaped keeper of fear and joy, often takes the gardener's hand in this work. It decides which memories need to be softened, which must be kept sharp, which can be allowed to fade. This is why heartbreak lessens over time, why a frightening memory can lose its sting. Sleep is the gardener pulling weeds, trimming thorns, letting the mind soil. Breathe again. Without enough sleep, the garden suffers. Seeds lie scattered, unplanted. Weeds of confusion grow. Memories blur at the edges. Experiments show that people who are deprived of sleep struggle to recall details, to learn new skills, to make creative connections. It's as if the gardener was kept away for the night, and the garden grew wild, disorganized, overrun. But when sleep is deep and plentiful, the garden thrives. Connections between memories grow stronger. Unnecessary clutter is cleared. Emotional wounds are tended. Think of a musician learning a new piece. They practice by day, hands finding the keys, ears catching each note. By night, the gardener moves through the garden, watering the memory of each movement, strengthening the pattern of the melody. By morning, the music flows more easily, as if the fingers have learned it on their own. Or picture a child learning to ride a bike. The first day is clumsy. Falls are frequent, but after a night's sleep, balance feels different, steadier. The gardener has tended the seeds of muscle memory, helping them root in the nervous system soil. Even language learning is shaped by this midnight work. New words, new sounds are planted more firmly when the gardener has time to care for them. Some scientists believe that this nighttime gardening is also when the brain clears away what is not needed. You do not keep every seed. You cannot. The gardener makes choices, some conscious, most not. This pruning is what allows you to focus, to keep space in the soil for new growth. Without it, the mind becomes cluttered, overcrowded, like a garden that cannot breathe. In the deepest hours of the night, the work is most mysterious. The gardener moves quickly now, crossing from bed to bed, tending flowers of the past and seedlings of the future. Neurons fire in patterns that resemble waking thought, but without the limits of waking logic. It is here that insight often arrives, the sudden solution to a problem, the spark of an idea, the connection between two distant things. You wake with it already blooming in your hand, and then, toward morning, the work slows. The gardener wipes the soil from their hands, steps back, and looks over the rows. Some plants are still small, others are ready to bear fruit. When your eyes open, you may not remember the garden, but you will feel its work in the clarity of thought, the ease of recall, the lightness of emotion. It is strange to think that while you rest, a whole world inside you is awake and working, that your memories are living things, planted, watered, prune, and set free, all without your knowing. Tonight, the gates will open again. The gardener will walk the rows, and in the dark, you will grow. But not all gardens are alike. Some grow wild in moonlight, some are carefully kept, and some are shaped by a different rhythm entirely, a rhythm that begins before the sun sets and continues long after you wake. That rhythm waits in the next chapter, where the music of the body's clock meets the seasons of the soul. It begins in a place beyond words, not silent, not empty, but filled with shapes, colors, textures, and signs that your waking mind cannot quite name. You dream in this language without even trying. It is the language of symbols, the brain's own shorthand, its private code for feelings, memories, and truths too large to fit into sentences. While you are awake, you think mostly in words. But at night, the words dissolve. Your mind turns to a more ancient tongue, one it has spoken since long before you learn to speak. A staircase that never ends, a door that won't open, a bird trapped in a room, a wave rising higher than you can see. You have walked through these places before, not in the outside world, but in the inner one. Science sees dreams as the product of neural activity, the brain weaving images and sensations from the threads it finds in memory. But why these threads? Why these pictures? That is where symbols begin, in the visual cortex and deeper limbic structures. The mind translates feeling into image. Fear becomes teeth, chase, darkness. Desire becomes flight, warmth, open doors. Confusion becomes mazes, mirrors, twisting roads. It is not magic. It is compression, like folding a long story into a single emblem. Your brain does it to work quickly, to fit huge concepts into forms the subconscious can hold and examine. The roots of this ability are ancient. Even early humans, long before written language, painted symbols on cave walls, animals, spirals, handprints pressed in ochre. They were recording not just events, but meanings. The brain, in its nighttime work, does the same thing. Some symbols are personal. You dream of your grandmother's kitchen, not because of the room itself, but because it holds the weight of belonging, of safety, of being cared for. To someone else, a kitchen might hold the memory of arguments or of loneliness, the same image, different code. Other symbols are nearly universal: falling, lying, being chased, standing on a high edge. These appear across cultures and centuries. They may come from the shared structure of the human brain, wired to respond to the primal elements of survival: height, speed, pursuit, danger, escape. During REM sleep, when your visual and emotional centers are lit with activity, the brain sends out messages through this symbolic code. Some are clear, like road signs. Others are riddles, not meant to be solved, but to be felt. For example, you dream you are lost in a city you've never seen before. You search for someone, but the streets twist endlessly. In waking life, you might simply say, "I am stressed," or I feel uncertain. But in dreams, the feeling takes shape, concrete and vivid, so you can walk through it, touch its walls, hear its echoes. This walkthrough is part of the brain's processing. By exploring a feeling in symbolic form, you can test responses, see outcomes, or simply sit with it in a safe, imagined space. Sometimes, your waking mind joins in, even as you sleep. This is why a dream might suddenly change scenes, or a threatening figure becomes a harmless friend. Your higher brain, the prefrontal cortex, is quiet in REM, but not entirely silent. It can gently edit the script, bend the symbol toward resolution. Symbolic dreams also play with memory itself. Your brain may take a real event and wrap it in metaphor to help you hold it differently. A painful conversation becomes a storm you are walking through. A success at work becomes a mountain summit beneath a rising sun. This is where art and the dreaming brain touch hands. Poets, painters, musicians, many have taken their visions from the nighttime symbol world, bringing its imagery into waking life. And in a way, every dreamer does the same. Science can measure the electrical surges, the eye movements, the changes in breathing that mark these dreams. It can track which brain areas light up as symbols form, but the meaning, that is the part no machine can read completely, because it is shaped by everything you are, your memories, your fears, your hopes, your unspoken language. Some researchers believe that symbolic dreaming may have survival roots. By rehearsing dangers or social challenges in a safe, symbolic world, our ancestors could prepare for real life without the cost of real risk. You could face a predator or a rival in dream symbol form, learning responses before morning came. And yet, symbols are not only for danger, they also hold joy, comfort, and wonder. A dream of floating in warm water, a dream of finding an endless library, a dream of holding something small and glowing in your hands. These are not warnings, they are gifts, tokens the brain offers to remind you of what matters. If you try to interpret your own dreams, you step into this language. It is less like reading and more like gardening. You don't translate the symbol. You let it grow, see what it becomes in the soil of your waking life. A river in one dream might mean fear in one season, freedom in another. A locked door might hold back danger one night or keep something precious safe the next. The code shifts. You shift. What remains constant is the bridge symbols build between your conscious and unconscious selves. Every time you dream in images, you are holding a conversation with the part of you that never speaks aloud. When you wake, the symbols fade quickly, their colors dissolving like watercolor in rain. This is why dream journals can feel like treasure maps. They catch the shapes before they vanish, and when you return to them later, you may see patterns woven quietly across months, years. The language of symbols is not about one night's dream, but about the long arc of inner dialogue. It is a patient language, a deep current beneath the surface stream of daily thought. Tonight, you will speak it again without effort, without even knowing you have begun. And in the morning, you will carry its quiet influence, even if you cannot remember a single scene. For in the next chapter, we will wander deeper still, beyond symbols into the shifting landscapes that your mind builds from pure imagination. Every dream you've ever had began with a spark, not a spark of light, but of chemistry, tiny molecules slipping between nerve cells in the dark ocean of your brain. You feel your bed beneath you. Your breath slows. Your body surrenders to stillness. And in that surrender, your inner world begins to shift its balance. The waking brain runs on a certain recipe, a precise mix of neurotransmitters, chemical messengers that carry thought, mood, and motion. But when you fall asleep, the recipe changes. Melatonin rises first, the gentle conductor of the night's orchestra. It does not make you sleep, but it tells your cells that the curtain is falling, that it is time for the lights of the day to dim. It flows from the pineal gland, a tiny structure tucked deep in the brain, sensitive to the absence of light. As melatonin takes the stage, other players retreat. Norepinephrine, the sharp alert signal that kept you ready to act, softens. Serotonin, the stabilizer of mood, begins to shift its role, less a guardrail, more a paintbrush. Then, in the chambers of the sleeping mind, a surge begins. Acetylcholine. It floods the system like a tide returning. It sparks rapid eye movement, ignites vivid imagery, and makes the dreaming brain almost as active as when you are awake. Acetylcholine is the dream's fuel. It connects neurons in quick, electric bursts. It lets the visual cortex paint scenes, lets the amygdala stir emotion, lets the hippocampus shuffle memories like cards in a hand. And while acetylcholine rises, norepinephrine falls to nearly nothing. This is why REM dreams are so strange. They are emotional, but not logical. Vivid, but without the constant voice of caution. It is chemistry that allows the impossible to feel so utterly real. Dopamine enters next, the color in the palette. In waking life, dopamine rewards action. It is the pleasure signal, the yes, do this again whisper. But in dreams, its role shifts. It may drive the rich emotional tone of a scene, making joy ecstatic, fear electric, curiosity irresistible. GABA, the brain's great quieting agent, weaves through all of this. It hushes the motor neurons so your body does not leap with every dreamed movement. It lets your muscles rest while your mind runs through cities, forests, and oceans that exist only inside you. And beneath all of this is a deeper rhythm, a cycling of chemicals that moves through the night in waves. First, the calm pools of deep sleep, bathed in high GABA, low acetylcholine. Then the bright rivers of REM, swelling with acetylcholine and dopamine, washing over the sleeping mind, again and again, until morning. Scientists can trace each peak and drop on a chart of the night's chemistry. They can watch as the neurotransmitter tides create the shifting landscapes of your dream world. But they cannot measure the feeling. They cannot taste the sweetness of a dream where you are reunited with someone you miss, or the weightless awe of flying over a moonlit sea. Chemistry explains how the dream is built. It does not explain why it feels like a piece of your soul. Still, the link is undeniable. When chemistry is altered by medication, by stress hormones, by illness, the dreaming mind changes. Some drugs that block acetylcholine can dim dreams completely. Others that increase it can turn them sharp and elaborate, like stained glass lit from behind. Even your diet can ripple into this night lab. Caffeine late in the day keeps norepinephrine higher than it should be at night, making dreams shorter or more restless. A heavy meal can raise metabolism just enough to stir vivid fragments before you wake. Stress adds its own chemistry, cortisol rising even as you try to sleep. This hormone can pull you into shallower rest, scatter your REM cycles, and fill your dreams with chase scenes, deadlines, and narrow escapes. And yet, the dreaming brain is adaptable. Even after long stress or altered sleep, it often finds its rhythm again if given time, darkness, and quiet. Your neurotransmitters are not fixed in stone. They ebb and flow like tides, waiting for the moon's pull. In this way, your brain's chemistry is both scientist and artist. It conducts experiments in emotion, memory, and sensation. It mixes its molecular colors to paint a world that lasts only a few minutes, but can linger in feeling for years. And perhaps the most mysterious thing is how quickly this chemical symphony fades. Within seconds of waking, the acetylcholine surge falls, dopamine levels shift, norepinephrine returns, and the dream becomes slippery, half forgotten, like fog burning away in sunlight. What remains is not the precise plot, but the echo, a warmth, a question, a strange image that stays in your pocket all day. The chemistry of the dreaming mind is not simply a background process. It is the stage, the lights, the air the dream breathes. Without it, the theater of sleep would be dark. And as you drift tonight, your brain will again measure out its molecules, open its hidden gates, and let the tides of neurotransmitters carry you into a world that exists only between the beat of your heart and the turn of the earth. But in the next chapter, we will go beyond chemistry into the architecture itself, how your brain builds these landscapes and stories from the inside out. Before you, before your parents, before the first human ever opened their eyes to a morning sky, dreams were already flowing through the minds of creatures who would never know what a human was. The history of dreaming is older than language, older than cities, older than the written word, or the first fire lit by hands. It is a river that runs through deep time, its waters touching countless shores of life. Tonight, we drift back along that river, We begin in the present, in your own mind, where REM, sleep, comes, and your eyes flicker beneath your lids. This is your kingdom of dreams. But if we step backward in evolutionary time, we find that this kingdom has ancient roots. Mammals dream, birds dream. In the dark of the night, a sparrow will twitch its beak, shift its claws, and see visions no human will ever see. A cat will run in place on the soft plains of its imagination, ears flicking to the sound of dream mice rustling in dream grass. Even reptiles show signs of dreamlike states, lizards entering sleep phases that echo REM. And further still, some studies suggest that cuttlefish, those strange, intelligent masters of camouflage, pass through cycles where their skin changes color and patterns dance across them, as if they are dreaming in light. Why would so many forms of life carry this same strange ritual? Why waste precious hours in visions when the outside world demands attention, food, and survival? The answer may lie in the oldest truth of evolution. Nothing so widespread survives without purpose. Dreaming must give something back. One idea is that dreams evolved as a kind of mental rehearsal. In the mind's theater, you can practice the chase, the escape, the hunt, without risking your life. A gazelle in the grasslands may dream of running, and in that running, its brain strengthens the patterns it will need if a lion comes. Another idea is that dreaming helps to weave memories, to take the loose threads of experience and braid them into something lasting. The earliest mammals, navigating a dangerous world, would need quick learning. A mistake forgotten could be death. A lesson remembered could mean survival. And yet, dreams do not simply record reality. They twist it, bend it, combine it. A branch snapping in the night may become a falling tree in the dream, or the footstep of something unknown. This may be the deeper gift. Dreams do not just store the past, they imagine the possible. To survive, an animal must not only react to what is, but prepare for what could be. Dreams are the mind, walking paths that have not yet appeared. In humans, this power grows. Our dreams are laced with memory, but also with symbols, metaphors, and impossible physics. We can dream of both the lion in the grass and a lion made of stars. But evolution does not build from nothing. The roots of our dreaming likely stretch back to the first creatures with complex nervous systems, small beings in ancient seas whose simple rest cycles began to carry flashes of memory. Over millions of years, those flashes grew into patterns. The patterns became stories. And so, dreaming may have started, not as art, but as survival training, and only later did it bloom into the strange and beautiful landscapes we now explore each night. In modern science, this is mirrored in what we see across species. Predators often dream more than prey, perhaps because they must simulate the complexity of the hunt. Social animals show richer REM phases, perhaps because they must navigate the shifting alliances and dangers of their groups. Birds, descended from dinosaurs, dream in short bursts, tiny rehearsals between waking moments. Mammals sink deeper into long REM episodes, as if sinking into a warm pool. And you, a human, at the current edge of this long river of dreaming, carry all of that history inside you. When you dream of running, you echo the ancient hoofbeats of your ancestors' prey. When you dream of danger, you channel the survival maps drawn in the minds of creatures hundreds of millions of years gone. Even the emotion in dreams may have ancient work to do. Fear sharpens your awareness. Joy strengthens the memory of what is safe. Curiosity pushes you toward discovery, even in the dark. Evolution shapes not only our bodies, but our inner worlds. The dreams of the first primates might have been filled with tree branches, leaf, and shadows below. Yours may hold cars, cities, and voices through glowing screens, but the same machinery hums beneath. And perhaps this is why dreams still hold such power. They are not random storms of the mind. They are the inheritance of billions of years of life finding ways to remember, to imagine, and to survive. You may wake from a dream feeling as if you've touched something ancient, because you have. Each REM cycle is a reunion with that deep current, a return to the river that carried the minds of sparrows, cats, lizards, and fish through their own silent nights. And yet, there is something else. Humans took dreaming far beyond survival. We told stories about it. We painted it. We searched for meaning in its shadows. Evolution may have given us the seed, but culture gave us the garden. In the next chapter, we will step into that garden to see how myths, rituals, and ancient beliefs wove around the science of sleep. Your mind may wander far when sleep takes you. It may climb mountains made of memory, walk streets that never existed, or float in skies that defy gravity's pull. But your body does not forget where it is. Even in the deepest hours, it listens. It listens the way a sentry listens. Still, quiet, but alert to signals that matter. Tonight, we listen with it. We notice that sleep is not a wall between you and the world. It is a doorway that lets in only certain kinds of sound, only certain kinds of touch, only certain whispers of light and scent. Think of your ears. They rest, but they do not switch off. In sleep, your brain filters the constant background of the world, the low wind outside, the refrigerator sigh, the ticking clock. But it can wake you in an instant for the snap of a branch, the cry of your child, the sudden edge in a familiar voice. This is ancient. Long before alarms and electric lamps, our ancestors slept in forests, lanes, and caves. A rustle in the grass could mean wind or teeth. Evolution taught the body to sleep lightly enough to hear danger, but deeply enough to restore itself, and not just sound. Your body listens. through the skin. If a blanket falls away, your nerves tell your brain that the air is cooler. If someone touches your arm, the signal travels through your sleeping nervous system, and sometimes it folds into your dreams. A light brush against your face might become a butterfly wing in your dream, or a drifting leaf. Your nose, too, keeps a quiet watch. Certain smells slip through the curtain of sleep: smoke, gas, or the comforting scent of someone you love. These signals can stir you awake or shift the rhythm of your dreaming. Even your balance system, the fluid-filled chambers deep in your inner ear, keeps humming, tracking your position. If you roll too close to the edge of the bed, your body often adjusts before you even wake. But perhaps the most remarkable listening happens in your muscles and heart. Your body keeps track of temperature, breathing, and heartbeat with exquisite care. If your breathing slows too much, your brain stirs you just enough to draw a deeper breath. If your heartbeat changes suddenly, signals rush upward through your brainstem, calling you closer to waking. And through it all, your body tends to the quiet work of repair. Cells knit themselves, muscles heal from the day's strain, hormones flow like tides, timed to the phases of your sleep. Growth hormone peaks in the night, rebuilding, restoring. Immune cells multiply, patrolling for invaders. Even your skin repairs the tiny injuries made by sun, wind, and time. This is the deep intelligence of the body, not the conscious kind, but the older kind, written in your biology. It does not need language to know what to do. It is the hum of processes older than thought. Scientists call part of this sleep-dependent sensory processing. It means your sleeping brain is still making decisions about the signals it receives. It can tell the difference between a noise that matters and one that does not, between a change in temperature that is harmless and one that could threaten survival. You can think of it like a lighthouse beam sweeping slowly across the darkness. It is not searching for everything. It is tuned for what might matter. And while this watchful listening is ancient, it is also adaptable. Modern experiments have shown that if you play a specific sound while someone sleeps and pair it with learning before they drift off, the brain can strengthen that memory overnight. It is as if the sleeping body can choose what to remember more deeply, and sound is one of its messengers. Even your heart listens to the rhythm of your sleep. In deep stages, it slows, resting with you. In REM sleep, when dreams run wild, it may speed, mirroring the emotions of the dream. Fear in the dream can bring fear in the pulse. Joy can bring a flutter of warmth. This two-way conversation between the world and the sleeping body is part of what keeps you alive. It is why new parents can wake at the faintest whimper, but sleep through the rumble of passing traffic. It is why soldiers in unfamiliar territory sleep more lightly, their bodies on higher alert. Your body listens, but it also speaks to itself. Signals travel from one organ to another from gut to brain, from heart to hormone glands. It is a quiet council meeting in the night, making decisions that will shape your waking hours. Sometimes your dreams pick up these messages. Erasing heart might slip into a dream of running. An upset stomach might appear as a strange, shifting landscape. Your body's whispers can become the storylines of your inner world. And so, you are never truly separate from your body while you dream. You are sharing the night. The mind may be a wandering storyteller, but the body is a steady listener, keeping you tethered to the safe shore while your thoughts sail away. Even now, as you lie here, your body is listening to the hum of the room, the temperature of the air, the comfort of your own weight against the bed. It will keep listening until morning and beyond. In the next chapter, we will follow one of those nighttime signals deep into the heart to see how the rhythm of your pulse dances with the rhythm of your dreams. There is a moment, sometimes, when you are dreaming, and you are dreaming. It begins like a shimmer in the fabric of the night. The street you walk feels too bright, the faces around you too perfect or too strange. A door you open leads to a place you've never been, yet your heart whispers, "This cannot be waking." And in that soft instant, the dream tilts. You are still inside it, but you hold a quiet thread of awareness, like standing waist deep in the ocean, feeling the waves move through you, yet knowing you are anchored to the shore. This is the beginning of lucid dreaming, a dream where the mind opens its eyes inside itself. Scientists call this metacognition, the awareness of your own thinking. In waking life, it's the moment you notice you are daydreaming. In sleep, it's rarer. The brain's logic centers are softer, quieter, but sometimes, through chance, training, or deep emotional need, they stir. In a lucid dream, you can turn your gaze, look at your own hands, and know this is not the physical world. Some dreamers use this awareness to change the scene, to fly, to breathe underwater, to speak to those long gone. Others simply stay still, watching the dream with a fuller, gentler attention. Lucidity is not control, it is presence. The dream still has its own currents, its own gravity. But now you can swim with your eyes open. What happens in the brain when this lucidity blooms? Researchers have studied it in sleep labs, asking experienced lucid dreamers to signal when they become aware. Inside the dream, the sleeper moves their eyes in a pre-agreed pattern, left, right, a movement, the dream body, and the real eyes share. EEG scans show something remarkable. In normal REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, self-reflection, and planning, is dimmer, resting. But in lucid REM, parts of it light up like a shoreline at dawn. It is as if a bridge has formed between waking thought and dreaming imagery. The colors of the dream remain deep, but a thread of reason weaves through them. For some, This awareness comes without effort, a natural gift. For others, it can be cultivated. One method is called reality testing. Throughout the day, you pause and ask yourself, am I dreaming? You look at your hands, read a line of text, glance away, then look again. In dreams, words may shift when you look twice. With practice, this habit follows you into sleep, and the moment you ask, you awaken within the dream. Another method is wake back to bed. You wake early, stay up briefly, then return to sleep with the intention to notice in the delicate edge between wakefulness and dream. The mind slips in, still half lit. Why do people seek lucidity? Some wish to explore fantasy landscapes. Others face fears within the dream, turning to look at the shadow in the corner, only to find it changes shape when met with courage. Therapists have used it to help with recurring nightmares. By becoming aware inside the nightmare, the dreamer can choose a different ending. The monster becomes a conversation. The falling becomes flying. But lucidity is not always easy to hold. The moment you realize you are dreaming, excitement can wake you, like standing on a fragile ice sheet. Too sudden a movement, and it cracks, dropping you into wakefulness. So the practice is to remain calm, breathe slowly, notice the colors, the sounds, the weight of the air. Let the dream know you are not here to break it, only to walk its shore. There is something else about lucid dreams. They feel longer in memory, perhaps because you are paying attention. In waking life, time slows when you notice it. The sunset observed, minute by minute, seems to stretch. So too in the dream. And yet, lucid dreaming does not replace the ordinary dreams. Those still serve their quiet purposes, weaving memory, balancing emotion, practicing survival. Lucidity is a rare visitor, not the daily tide. Some traditions see lucid dreams as spiritual journeys, a place to meet guides, to receive visions, to walk beyond the limits of flesh. Science does not make such claims, but it agrees that lucidity is a doorway to understanding how awareness works. When you stand on the lucid shore, you glimpse the edges of the map, the overlap of waking and dreaming. It is a reminder that consciousness is not one place, but many rooms, many levels, each with its own light. And when you wake from such a dream, you carry with you a strange, quiet certainty that your mind is wider than the daylight shows. Some night soon, as you drift, you may find yourself walking down a hallway, or standing in a meadow, or floating above a city, and something inside will pause, tilt its head, and smile. This is a dream, and in that moment, you will feel the sand of the lucid shore beneath your feet and the vast ocean of sleep at your back. In the next chapter, we will wander further into the mysterious currents that pull dreams toward joy, toward fear, and sometimes toward the deepest truths you are ready to hear. There are nights when the dream turns dark, You are running. The hallway stretches longer. Your feet feel heavy, as if the air has turned to water, or you are falling. The ground rushes toward you, but never comes. A shadow waits at the edge of your vision. It never shows its face. These are nightmares. They are not mistakes in the machinery of the mind. They are part of its deep and ancient design. In the wild, millions of years ago, a sudden rustle in the grass meant danger. Our ancestors learned to react fast, to rehearse threats in the theater of the brain. Even asleep, the mind stays half attuned to danger. Nightmares may be the echoes of that vigilance. Scientists call this the threat simulation theory. It suggests that dreams, especially frightening ones, allow us to practice, to face fear without real harm. When you dream of being chased, your brain's amygdala, the region that handles fear and urgency, glows with activity. Your heart may race. Your breath may quicken. It feels real because inside the dream, your body responds as if it were. And yet, there is a difference. In a nightmare, no real predator waits. The mind is conjuring one from memory, emotion, and imagination. Nightmares can be born from many seeds: a stressful day, lingering grief, anxiety that hums quietly beneath your waking thoughts. Even certain foods or medications can stir the dream into turbulence. But not all nightmares come from the present. Some carry the heavy shadows of the past, echoes of trauma relived in sleep. For those who have endured deep pain or fear, nightmares can become recurring visitors. In the brain, REM sleep is the stage where emotion and memory are processed together. When a memory is too jagged, too raw, the mind may replay it again and again, trying to smooth its edges. For some, the replay does not bring peace. The fear remains sharp, and the dream becomes a cycle. This is why nightmares are common in post-traumatic stress disorder. The brain is trying to integrate a wound that will not close, but there are ways to work with nightmares. One method is imagery rehearsal therapy. Before sleep, you recall the nightmare while awake, but you change the script. The monster turns into a friend. The fall becomes a gentle glide. With repetition, the new ending slips into the dream itself. Another path is lucid dreaming. If you can wake inside the nightmare, you can face the shadow, ask its name, or simply watch as it dissolves. Even without such techniques, it helps to remember the dream cannot harm you. Your body is safe in its bed. The shadow is made of thought, and thought can change. In some cultures, nightmares are seen as messages, not from outside forces, but from the self. They are the mind's way of pointing to what is unresolved, what is waiting to be heard. Imagine your mind as a great house. Most rooms are lit, familiar, comfortable. Nightmares come from the locked rooms, the basements, and attics, where old things are stored. They are the knocking on those closed doors. It is not always easy to open them, but sometimes, by looking inside, you find that the shape in the dark is smaller than you feared. Nightmares also have their paradox. When the fear passes, when you wake and feel your breath, your pulse, there is often a wave of relief, even gratitude. Your brain has just completed cycle of threat and safety. It is a rehearsal for waking life. Children have more nightmares than adults. Their worlds are still new, full of unknowns. The boundary between real and imagined is thin. Nightmares, for them, may be a way to learn what is safe and what is not. As we grow older, our nightmares become less frequent, but often more symbolic. The monster may take the form of losing a job, failing a task, or watching someone leave. The fear is no longer teeth and claws. It is loss. It is change. Some nightmares arrive in cycles linked to stress, to illness, to grief. When the waking storm passes, the dream often softens too. And yet, there are those that stay. The recurring dream, the shadow you have seen 100 times. It waits for you night after night until you decide to meet it. Meeting it does not mean defeating it. It may mean standing still, breathing, asking, "What do you want me to know?" Sometimes the shadow has no answer. It is not a messenger, but a mirror reflecting the places where fear still lives. We all carry shadows. They are part of being human. To dream of them is not a failure. It is the mind's way of tracing their outline. So you might see them in daylight. And when you do, the nightmare changes. The hallway shortens. The fall slows. The shadow steps forward, and you see it was only a figure you once left behind. Nightmares remind us. Light and dark share the same sky. Even in sleep, the mind is trying to balance them. So, tonight, if the shadow comes, know that it is part of the dream's work. It may not be pleasant, but it is purposeful. And somewhere, beyond the fear, there is always the next dream, waiting to carry you into calmer waters. In the next chapter, we will follow those waters into the bright currents of dreams that heal, the way the sleeping mind can mend, restore, and guide you gently back toward peace. When morning comes, you remember pieces, a face without a name, a room that felt familiar but doesn't exist. The rest is gone, dissolving, like breath on glass. You forget most of your dreams, not because you are careless, not because the dream was unimportant, but because your brain is built to let them go. This is the quiet work of forgetting. It happens not with violence, not by tearing pages from the book, but with the soft closing of a door. Memory is not a single shelf. It is a living forest. Some trees are young shoots, thin and fragile. Some are towering elders whose roots grip the earth. Forgetting is the pruning. It is the gentle clearing of space so that the forest does not choke itself. During sleep, your brain moves through cycles. In deep, slow wave sleep, it gathers and stores the day's essential experiences. In REM sleep, it plays with them, linking, testing, breaking them apart. And then it decides which to keep. The rest fade back into the soil. You might think that remembering everything would be a gift, but imagine never forgetting every breakfast, every stray face in a crowd, every pain, every noise. It would be too much weight. A mind cluttered with every moment would have no space to imagine the next one. Neuroscientists believe that forgetting is as important as remembering. One idea, the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, suggests that through the day, your brain strengthens millions of connections between neurons. Every sight, every word, every small decision, each adds a thread. By night, the web is dense. If it were never trimmed, your brain's energy would be spread too thin. Sleep allows the weakest threads to fade, the details you will not need. Dreams live in this delicate balance. Some are bound to strong threads, tied to events or feelings you carry with you. Others are woven only loosely, like silk spun in the air. When you wake, the light of morning burns through them. There is also the mystery of chemistry. When you are awake, your brain uses a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine. It helps you focus, encode, remember. But in REM sleep, norepinephrine levels fall almost to zero. This might be why dreams are vivid in the moment, yet slip away so easily. Think of a sandcastle built at the edge of the tide. The detail is intricate. The towers are perfect. But the ocean is always coming in. By morning, only the shape remains. And then even that is gone. Forgetting also protects you. Not all dreams are gentle. Some carry shadows, fear, grief, old wounds. If you remembered every detail, your waking mind might carry the weight of every night. Forgetting is the release. It leaves only the emotional trace, the part your mind is ready to hold. And yet, some dreams refuse to be forgotten. You may wake with a scene so vivid it follows you through the day. It is as if your brain has tagged it. This matters. Such dreams are often tied to strong emotion. The amygdala, our center for feeling, is highly active during REM. Emotion marks a memory for preservation. The details might still fade, but the feeling remains. Dream researchers have tried to catch dreams in the act of disappearing. In sleep labs, they wake people during REM. If you ask, within seconds, the dream is rich, detailed. Wait just a minute, and much is already gone. This speed is part of the brain's design. Dreams are not meant to be archived whole. They are meant to do their work, then dissolve. Still, you can hold on to them if you wish. Keeping a dream journal trains the mind to bring dreams across the fragile bridge. into waking. When you wake, you write without judgment, without hurry. Over time, the act of recording changes the way your brain retrieves dreams. They linger longer, like guests invited to stay for tea. But here is the quiet truth. Forgetting is not truly erasure. Even forgotten dreams leave traces, small adjustments in the connections between neurons. A dream may vanish from memory, yet shape your thoughts, your mood, or decisions. It is the unseen current beneath the surface. There is also a poetic symmetry. Just as you forget most dreams, you forget much of your waking life too. Memories fade, faces blur, the days of childhood fold into one another. It is not loss, it is making room. The mind, like the night sky, must have darkness to make the stars shine. Some scientists even suspect that forgetting may be essential for creativity. By letting go of exact details, the brain can recombine fragments in new ways, sparking ideas that would never emerge from a crowded, unchanging storehouse. So the next time you wake with only a shadow of your dream, you can thank your brain's quiet gardener, the one who tends the forest of memory, letting some branches grow, letting others fall away. Forgetting is not the enemy, it is the space in which new dreams can grow. And perhaps the dreams you forget are not truly gone. They may still live in the deep layers, whispering their influence into choices, into feelings you never trace back to them. The dream may forget you, but it still shapes you. Tonight, you will dream again. Some images will fade, some will stay, and beyond both, there will be the silent process, weaving and unweaving, that keeps the mind clear enough to wander. In the next chapter, we will follow one dream that stays, a rare thread that refuses to break, and explore why some visions become part of you forever. Dreams are not only yours, they are threads in a tapestry woven through the centuries, passed from one mind to another, from one generation to the next. Long before science could measure brainwaves, people gathered to share their visions of the night, around fires, in stone temples, under the open sky. Dreams were carried as messages, warnings, blessings. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets held records of dreams and their meanings. A lion in a dream might mean power. A flood could be a sign from the gods. Dreams were a language, and the world was listening. In Egypt, dreams were maps to the divine. Priests kept dream books filled with interpretations. If you dreamed of drinking beer, it might mean something good is coming. If you dreamed of drowning, it might mean a hidden danger waits. The Greeks built temples of sleep, Asclepians, where the sick came to dream. They would rest in dark chambers, waiting for visions to guide their healing. To them, a dream was not a private flicker in the mind. It was a doorway to wisdom across the ocean. In many indigenous traditions, Dreams were woven into daily life. The Ojibwe people crafted dream catchers, webs hung over sleeping places to let good dreams through and catch the bad ones. Some communities treated dreams as messages from ancestors, carrying guidance across the veil of time. In the high Andes, the Quechua people spoke of dreams as journeys of the soul, adventures the spirit takes while the body rests. The dreamer was both traveler and messenger. In Aboriginal Australian traditions, there is the dream time, a sacred era beyond time, where creation began. Dreams were a way to touch that timeless space, to step into the story of the land itself. Cultures did not agree on every meaning, but everywhere, dreams mattered. They were not dismissed as random static. They were part of the fabric of human life. Today, science sees dreams differently. We know they arise from electrical patterns in the brain. We know REM sleep fuels memory, emotion, problem solving. But even now, we carry traces of the old reverence. Think of how you still turn to a friend and say, I had the strangest dream last night. You are taking part in a ritual as old as language. You are giving the dream a second life outside your own mind. The way a culture treats dreams can even shape how often they are remembered. In societies where dreams are discussed daily, people recall them more vividly. The act of valuing a dream seems to pull it closer to waking memory. Science calls this cultural priming, the way expectation and attention can change mental patterns. If you believe a dream is important, you will remember it more often. If you believe it is meaningless, you let it slip away. In this way, culture is not just a backdrop for dreaming, it is a partner in it. The stories we tell about dreams can also guide the feelings we attach to them. A culture that sees nightmares as omens of danger may create fear around them. A culture that sees them as challenges to be overcome may inspire courage instead. The same dream can live in the mind as threat or teacher, depending on the story wrapped around it. There is even evidence that culture shapes what we dream about. A child growing up in a fishing village may dream more often of water, boats, storms. A child in a bustling city may dream of streets, lights, crowds. Our waking world paints the backdrop for our sleeping one. And yet, despite the differences, there are patterns that repeat across cultures. Flying, falling, being chased. These seem to belong to the shared human mind. Perhaps they are echoes of instincts and ancient fears or universal wishes that every heart holds. In the modern world, some of the old dream rituals are fading. Many of us wake to alarms, rush to our days, and lose the chance to speak our dreams aloud. The communal circle has thinned, but in quiet corners, in therapy rooms, in spiritual retreats, in art studios, the old respect remains. The painter may still wake to capture the colors seen in sleep. A writer may still follow a dream's strange thread into a story. A scientist may still wonder at the hidden workings behind a night's vision. Dreams continue to shape culture in music, in poetry, in film. Think of the surreal landscapes in paintings by Salvador Dali, born from his dream imagery. Think of films that play with dream layers, like Inception. Think of the lullabies and folk tales that carry dream symbols generation to generation. Even science itself has been guided by dream visions. Dmitri Mendeleev saw the periodic table arrange itself in a dream. The chemist August Kekulé dreamed of a snake biting its tail and awoke with the structure of benzene. The line between night's wandering and waking discovery is not as sharp as it seems. In this way, culture and dreaming are in constant exchange. Dreams feed stories. Stories feed dreams. What you dream tonight may carry a fragment of an ancient myth, and what you tell tomorrow may plant a seed in someone else's sleeping mind. Perhaps this is why the act of sharing dreams still feels intimate. To tell someone a dream is to hand them a piece of your unguarded self. It is a bridge between your inner world and the world you share. And while science will keep mapping the brain's patterns, culture will keep giving those patterns meaning. The brain is the stage. The culture is the script. Tonight, as you drift, remember, you are not just one dreamer in isolation. You are part of a vast, ancient conversation, one that began long before your first breath and will continue long after your last. And somewhere in the rhythm of your heartbeat and the rise of your breath, you may carry not only your own dreams, but the echoes of all who dreamed before you. In the next chapter, we will leave the fireside and the circle of storytellers and step into the laboratory where scientists listen to the sleeping brain with machines and learn to translate its secret language. There is a reason you sometimes wake with an answer you didn't have the night before. A reason your mind seems to untangle knots while you are not even aware it is working. In sleep, you are not idle. The body rests, but the brain keeps moving like a ship's crew working quietly below deck, rearranging cargo, repairing ropes, plotting new routes. Dreams are part of this work. They take the raw threads of thought and memory and weave them into patterns you may not recognize in waking life, but that can guide you all the same. In the waking world, your mind is like a crowded marketplace. Every moment, it fills with voices, lights, tasks, decisions pile up, details clash. The obvious paths become blocked by distraction. But in the night, when the noise fades, your brain slips into a quieter mode. The prefrontal cortex, the part that edits, filters, and censors, loosens its grip. Ideas are allowed to mingle freely without judgment. This loosening is what makes dreams so strange and so useful. Connections that seem absurd when awake can reveal unexpected truths in sleep. Scientists call this associative thinking, the ability to link concepts that are far apart. It's the same process that fuels creativity, and in dreams, your brain swims in it. Imagine you're trying to solve a puzzle. Awake, you stare at it directly, trying the same few moves over and over. Asleep, your mind turns it sideways, flips it upside down, lets pieces you didn't think belonged slide into place. This is not just poetic speculation. History is full of real problems solved in dreams. The chemist Friedrich August Kekulé dreamed of a snake swallowing its tail and awoke knowing the circular shape of the benzene molecule. The writer Mary Shelley dreamed of a pale scientist bent over a creation and woke with the seed of Frankenstein. The mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan said formulas came to him in dreams, whispered by a goddess. Even Paul McCartney once dreamed the melody to Yesterday. When he woke, he simply wrote down what had already been playing in his mind. In each case, the dream was not random. It was the mind continuing the day's work, but with fewer walls, fewer rules. Science has tried to understand this. One clue lies in REM sleep, the stage where most vivid dreams occur. During REM, the brain is highly active, almost as active as when you are awake. But the chemicals that keep your muscles ready to move are dialed down. You are safe in stillness, while inside, the stage lights blaze. The hippocampus, your memory's librarian, is busy sorting the day's files. At the same time, the association areas of the brain are firing, pulling threads from many shelves at once. A sound from today meets a memory from childhood. A fact you learned last week meets an image from a book you read years ago. In the overlap, a new idea appears. In waking life, you might reject it immediately. Those things don't belong together. But asleep, no such gatekeeper stands. The thought is allowed to bloom. Sometimes these connections are strange, illogical, even surreal, but among them are seeds of real solutions. Experiments show that when people study a problem before sleep, they are more likely to solve it after dreaming, especially if they enter REM. It is as if the dream lets the mind work around the locked door and find another way in. Of course, not every dream hands you an answer. Many are simply emotional rehearsals, the brain trying out different responses to life's challenges. If you are afraid to speak in public, you may dream of standing before a crowd. If you are worried about a friend, you may dream of searching for them in a strange city. These dreams may not solve the problem in a clear, step-by-step way, but they can soften the fear or reveal what matters most. There is another way. Dreams solve problems by showing you the shape of the problem itself. Sometimes you cannot see what is truly troubling you. A dream can place it in front of you as a symbol, a character, a scene. A recurring dream of being trapped may not be about the literal trap, but about a decision you feel unable to make. A dream of flying may not be about flight, but about a longing for freedom. Your dreaming mind is not bound to literal meaning. It can work in metaphor, just as art does. In this way, dreams can be both map and compass, not telling you exactly where to step, but pointing toward a path you hadn't seen. You can even train yourself to use dreams more deliberately. Keep a notebook by your bed. Before sleeping, focus gently on a single question. In the morning, write whatever you remember, even fragments. Over time, you may notice patterns, images, clues. This practice, called dream incubation, was known in ancient cultures. The Greeks, the Egyptians, the Chinese all had rituals to invite dreams that could heal or guide. Modern science does not promise you will find every answer this way, but it shows that intention matters. When you hold a problem gently in the mind before sleep, you give the dreaming brain a direction to explore. Even if the dream itself does not give you a direct answer, it may clear away enough noise that the solution appears in waking life soon after. Think of it like setting a glass of cloudy water on the table. While you rest, the particles settle. By morning, the water is clear enough to see through. Dreams are not magic. They are your mind's own workshop, lit by the strange lanterns of the night. In them, you test, you wander, you combine, you rehearse, and sometimes, without even trying, you arrive at what you were looking for. So tonight, when you drift, remember, you are not simply slipping away from the world. You are stepping into a quiet chamber where the parts of your mind meet in secret to solve the puzzles your waking self could not. And somewhere in that chamber, an answer may already be taking shape, ready to greet you with the first light of morning. In the next chapter, we will follow that answer as it changes shape, becoming symbol, becoming story, becoming the strange and beautiful language of the dreaming mind. There are mornings when you wake and feel nothing, no colors, no fragments, no fading story, only the soft weight of the pillow beneath your cheek and the quiet certainty that something happened while you slept, but it has already slipped away. It can feel as if the night never offered you a dream. But the truth is stranger. Science tells us you almost always dream. The disappearance is not in the dreaming itself, but in the remembering. Your brain is like a painter who works in watercolors on paper that dissolves when touched by sunlight. The moment you wake, the edges blur, the shapes fade, and soon all that remains is a damp, empty sheet. Why does this happen? Part of the answer lies in chemistry. When you sleep, especially in REM, the brain is awash in acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that fuels vivid imagery and intense emotion. It keeps the stage lights of the dream burning bright. But another chemical, norepinephrine, is dialed down, and norepinephrine is essential for creating stable, long-term memories. It is as if your brain is recording onto a tape that is never pressed into a permanent disc. When you wake and norepinephrine surges back, the tape has already been erased. That is one reason so many dreams vanish before breakfast. Another reason is timing. If you wake in the middle of REM, you are far more likely to remember the dream, as if you've been lifted right out of the theater before the curtain closed. But if you sleep past the ending, slipping into lighter or deeper stages, the memory is less vivid, like trying to recall a film you only half watched months ago. Stress, fatigue, and certain medications can dim recall as well. Even mood plays a part. A mind preoccupied with urgent waking tasks rarely stops to gather the fragile threads left by the night. Some people forget dreams so completely that they believe they do not dream at all. But brain scans show otherwise. REM still comes like a hidden tide. Whether or not you stand on the shore to see it, forgetting dreams is not a flaw. It may even be an important function. Imagine if every dream was as sharp and detailed as waking life, thousands of hours of strange, emotional scenes competing with real-world memories. The boundaries between dream and day would blur. By letting most dreams fade, the brain protects the clarity of waking reality. And yet, we mourn their loss, because sometimes we sense that a dream held something precious, a solution, a warning, a moment of beauty we will never see again. Throughout history, people have tried to hold on longer. Ancient Greeks slept in temples, hoping for healing dreams, then wrote them down before their eyes were fully open. Tibetan monks practiced dream yoga, training the mind to stay aware and present in the dream space. Indigenous cultures often rose and told their dreams to others before beginning the day, because a shared story is harder to forget. Modern dream recall techniques follow the same principles. Wake slowly. Keep your eyes closed. Let the images load up before moving a muscle. Write or speak or sketch anything to fix the melting shapes before they dissolve. Some people set alarms to wake during REM cycles. Others use lucid dreaming practice to stay partly conscious, allowing recall to be more deliberate. But even with effort, some dreams resist capture. These are the ones that vanish, like fish slipping through cupped hands, leaving only the sensation that something alive was there. Why might the brain choose to hide certain dreams completely? One idea: those dreams are the mind's internal housekeeping, discarding old files, resetting systems, balancing emotions. They may not be meant for conscious review, just as you do not Watch every gear turn inside a clock to trust it is keeping time. There is also the mystery of trauma and forgetting. Some dreams, especially after distress, may be stored in ways that protect you, encoded without easy retrieval until the mind is ready. And so we live between two truths: that we dream almost every night, and that most of those dreams will be lost forever. This forgetting is not the enemy, it is the night's own editing process. It leaves behind only certain images, certain feelings, the ones it has decided you need. Perhaps this is why the dreams you do recall feel so significant. They are the few selected from the countless that came and went. When dreams disappear, they are not gone in the sense of destruction. Somewhere in the folds of the brain, the traces remain. Ghost patterns in the neural fabric. You simply cannot walk back to them once the day has begun. And maybe that is part of their beauty. Like fireworks, they are meant to be witnessed in the moment and then let go. So tonight, if the dreams come and you cannot hold them, do not chase. Rest in the knowing that the dreaming mind is still at work, whether or not you return with its stories. Because in the chapters ahead, we will follow not the dreams you remember, but the quiet, hidden ones that shape you without ever showing their face. There is a place your mind drifts to each night, a shoreline, not of sand and water, but of thought and silence. You do not arrive here suddenly. You slip toward it the way a boat slides into a quiet harbor on a windless tide. It is the edge between waking and sleep, between thought you can control and thought that moves without you. Scientists call this place the hypnagogic state, a fragile borderland where consciousness begins to loosen but does not yet dissolve. Here, your mind's architecture is in motion. Neurons are still firing in patterns of wakefulness, but their rhythm is shifting from the steady, focused beat of beta waves to the slower, dreamlike pulse of theta. You may see shapes that are not quite visions, hear voices that are not quite sounds, feel your body become heavy and light at the same time. In this space, your senses blend. Single word spoken in the room can turn into a drifting image. A faint ache in your arm becomes a river you are wading across. The edge of consciousness is porous. It lets waking life spill into dreams, and dreams spill into waking thought. Artists have loved this place. The inventor Thomas Edison used to fall asleep holding steel balls in his hands, so that, as he drifted, they would drop, clattering to the floor, waking him. In that moment, he would capture the strange ideas that emerged in the hypnagogic blur. Salvador Dali did something similar, not to find logic, but to collect pure fragments of the surreal. Your own mind does this naturally. Perhaps you have felt it. That fleeting image, that small, perfect solution to a problem, surfacing just as your awareness begins to slip. Why does this happen? In waking life, your brain filters almost everything you perceive. It has to, otherwise, you would drown in every sound, every color, every fragment of memory. But on the edge of sleep, that filtering loosens. Memories, sensations, and stray associations flow freely. Connections form that waking logic would never allow. This is why so many sudden insights arrive here. A mathematician's proof, a writer's phrase, a painter's strange but perfect image. It is also why hypnagogia can be unsettling. Sometimes the images are strange or even frightening. The brain is testing its dream machinery, letting odd combinations of thought and memory slip through before the deep dream gates open. And yet, there is no real danger here. The hypnagogic state is only a doorway, one you cross in minutes without realizing it. On the far side lies the full territory of sleep. There is a matching shoreline at the other end of the night, the hypnopompic state, when you rise from dreaming into wakefulness. This one feels different. It is colored by the last dream you had. Sometimes you bring a clear, vivid scene into the day. Sometimes you carry only a mood, a soft joy, or an unshakable unease, with no story attached. The brain, in the hypnopompic state, is still partly in dream mode. Its chemistry is only beginning to switch back to full alertness. This is why those first few moments after waking can feel surreal, as if you are both here and somewhere else. And here's a quiet truth. The edges of consciousness are not only found at night. They appear in waking life too, in meditation, in deep daydream, in moments of trance, brought on by music or repetition. The brain slips into similar rhythms, allowing unusual connections and vivid imagery to rise. These edges are thresholds, moments when your sense of self is less tightly gripped, when the I you carry through the day loosens and becomes something softer. Some cultures have worked deliberately with these states. Shamans enter trance through drumming or chant, walking that fine border where visions come. Mystics, in many traditions, describe the meeting point between the finite self and something boundless, an edge beyond which language begins to fail. From a neuroscientific view, this is a shift in brain networks. The default mode network, the system that shapes your inner narrative, becomes less dominant. Other networks, normally backgrounded, come forward. The result, your thoughts feel less tethered, less linear. And here, in this loosened place, you can glimpse how dreaming and waking are not two separate worlds, but two currents in the same river. Each night, you cross these edges twice, once going in, once coming out. You rarely notice, but they are there, marking the scene between the conscious and the unconscious. If you wanted to, you could linger by keeping your body still, by letting your mind observe without grasping. You could watch the colors shift and the patterns form as consciousness tilts into the dream. You might see faces you have never met, places that do not exist, objects that seem to change shape as you look. You might hear a sentence spoken in a voice you cannot place, yet somehow it makes perfect sense. And then, almost imperceptibly, you would cross the line. The dream would take you, and the shore would vanish. In the morning, you would cross again, this time in reverse, stepping out of the water onto the bright, firm sand of the day. The edges of consciousness are easy to miss because they are brief, but they are also the most delicate and revealing moments your mind offers. Moments when you can feel your own awareness changing shape. Tonight, as you drift, see if you notice them. That first soft wave of imagery, that loosened thought, that bends in an unexpected way. This is the mind at the threshold, the place where waking ends and dreaming begins. And in that space, something remarkable happens. A kind of quiet handoff between the self you know and the self that dreams in your absence. In our final chapter, we will step through that handoff completely and follow the self that dreams all the way into the deepest night. Close your eyes. Let the world beyond your skin fade into shadow. The night is not only outside you, it is here, inside your mind, beneath the surface of thought, beyond the chatter of memory and the hum of daily concerns, lies a space so vast it rivals the cosmos. You carry a universe, not a metaphorical one, but a real, measurable, electrical, and chemical expanse. A billion galaxies of neurons, a web of light and shadow woven into living tissue. Each night, when you dream, you travel it. Consider this. Your brain holds roughly 86 billion neurons. Each one is linked to thousands of others. A network so complex that if its connections were stretched out in a line, they could circle the Earth many times. Signals race here at speeds approaching 300 kilometers an hour. Flashes of information leaping across gaps no wider than a breath of dust. And yet, this is not just machinery. It is theater. It is landscape. It is ocean and sky. When you sleep, the outer world fades, but this inner universe brightens. Your visual cortex paints light without photons. Your auditory cortex composes sound without air. The hippocampus unlocks memories, scattering them like seeds into strange new soils where they sprout as dreams. In these hours, you are both the traveler and the architect. You wander cities you have never seen. You swim in waters that do not exist. You speak to voices that are fragments of yourself, and yet they seem to know things you do not. Neuroscience tells us this is the brain running simulations, testing scenarios, rehearsing emotions, finding patterns in the chaos. But lying here, you feel it is something more. It is as if you are touching a deeper layer, a place where your personal story meets the currents of all human thought. Because here's the quiet truth. The patterns in your dreaming mind are shaped by the same forces that shape the minds of every ancestor you have. In a way, your dreams are a continuation of the great story of human imagination, stretching back to the first person who ever closed their eyes by a fire and saw visions. This is why your dream landscapes sometimes feel ancient, why your dream characters sometimes seem older than you, as if they have been waiting for you to arrive. We often think the universe is out there, stars scattered in black infinity, and that we are small beneath it. But inside your skull is a structure just as mysterious. Your brain is not a picture of the universe, but it is shaped by the same rules. Galaxies form from matter clustering under gravity. Ideas form from neurons clustering under meaning. The night sky is laced with filaments of cosmic matter. Your mind is laced with filaments of thought. And so, when you dream, it is not wrong to think you are exploring a universe just as real as the one above you. Look closely. A nebula blooms in your imagination. It is not made of gas and dust, but of colors you cannot name, of shapes that shift like breathing. A comet passes, not of ice and rock, but of memory and desire. The pull you feel towards certain places, towards certain faces, is gravity of a different kind. The inner universe has its own laws, its own constellations. And here, you are not a passive observer. You are the physicist, the poet, the traveler, and the star. This is why, when you wake, you sometimes feel a strange afterglow, as if part of you is still moving through that other sky. It lingers because the two universes, inner and outer, are not separate. They are mirrors. What you see by day becomes material for dreams. What you dream by night can alter how you see the day. This exchange has been happening since you were born. It is one of the oldest rhythms you will ever know. And now, at the close of this journey through sleep and science, you may see that dreaming is not just a nightly escape. It is the ongoing dialogue between your body, your mind, and the great unknown. So, tonight, as you lie down, imagine yourself as an astronaut in your own skull, sliding into the capsule of your mind, ready to launch into that boundless dark. The countdown is not in numbers, but in breaths, in the slow, soft sinking of awareness. You will pass the edges of consciousness. You will enter the REM kingdoms and the memory gardens. You will hear the brain's night orchestra. You will walk among symbols, chemistry, and ancient evolutionary shadows. And then you will drift into the deepest part, the center of the inner cosmos, where thought becomes landscape and you become the traveler and the terrain at once. If you could look back, you might see the waking world as a small blue planet floating in the distance, while all around you stretches the great expanse of your own dreaming mind. Here, there is no final border. The universe within is as endless as the one beyond. And somewhere, in the perfect symmetry between the two, you will find yourself. For in the quiet truth of night, you are not just in the universe is in you. The journey slows, the words fade like footprints in soft sand. You have drifted through thought and starlight, through questions older than the sky itself. Now the night holds you. The world outside your window breathes in its quiet rhythm. Your body is heavier now, but your mind floats, half in waking, half in that secret ocean where dreams begin to bloom. The constellations keep their watch. The moon hums its silver note, and somewhere your next dream waits for you to arrive. Let it find you. Let it carry you where even words cannot follow. Until we meet again, among stars or behind closed eyes. Good night.